Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Fresh Out the Podcast, the number one podcast in the universe if you removed all other podcasts. I am the board game guru, game master extraordinaire, Jahan.
And I am the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse True Munhausen, and this is episode 142 of Fresh Out the Podcast. We did make it clear we were taking a bit of a hiatus, and that hiatus is now over. That's right. This is it. We're back.
This is it. We're
doing
back.
it.
Yeah, I'm going to try to be as diligent as we used to be with our streaming schedule, but things are different now. We are both now fathers, so who knows, man?
You became a father, and I moved to a different home. So there have been major changes in the past few months.
Your home is beautiful. I like your house a lot.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Jahan got to come over for the Super Bowl, which was a good time. I have to admit, with so many people here, I didn't really watch very much of the game or commercials. It was a lot of like hosting and catching up with people. But as far as the game itself goes, it really wasn't. I wasn't missing that much by not actually watching the game. So
that halftime show, damn, that was good.
Yeah. So the Super Bowl. So that's where we're at. It's kind of crazy. We just had the Super Bowl. The last time you and I connected, it was before Thanksgiving. Even we had just seen Red One, if you remember the Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans holiday movie that ended up going to Amazon Prime Video like a couple weeks later. But I think it did what they wanted it to do, right? Like it went to theaters, it made a little bit of box office revenue, and then it was the number one thing on Prime all through the holiday season.
Yeah.
Because it had the theatrical bump, right? Like it was released in theaters, it was seen as a bigger movie. It comes out on the streaming service, everybody watches it, and I don't know, Jahan, we saw it in theater. Did your family watch it? Do you know people that watched it on streaming? I'm just curious. I know I'm going back in time a lot here, but
most of my family didn't watch it. The family that I think would enjoy that movie don't have Amazon Prime, so they didn't watch it.
Fair enough. But yeah, that's in the past. Some other things that were in the past, as far as our fresh news of the week, there are some big things that we for sure would have dedicated entire episodes to at the time they were announced, but we were on hiatus. And so some things I just wanted to touch on real quick here at the top of the show. The biggest one, Jahan, I think, is the Switch 2 reveal, which, to be fair, if that reveal had included more information, I probably would have tried harder, like to nudge you to be like, "Hey, is there any way we can make an episode happen this week?"
Yeah, and I probably would have been
such a lack of information, I was like, it's not really worth it.
Yeah, I don't feel like doing an hour-long podcast about how it barely looks different than the regular Switch. That's not much to go on. But hey, they got when's the Direct coming up? Is it May?
It's April 2nd, I believe.
And so, yeah, once the April showcase comes down, we'll have a lot more information. We already have a couple of, tidbits here and there. People are theorizing that, we saw gameplay from the new Mario Kart that they're thinking is going to release with the Switch. We saw some physical changes, not a whole lot to go on. The controllers...
magnetic Joy-Cons, a bigger screen, a better stand...
Yeah, all that good stuff. And then also, I heard backwards compatibility with with most games. So I think that the exceptions were things like the Ring Fit that requires special peripherals and stuff like that. So honestly, it was a decent tease, a decent reveal, and we're not waiting forever for the rest of the information. So I thought, well done, Nintendo, stirred up interest. And I was very excited. It
was the worst kept secret in gaming, right? Like we all knew that the release date or the reveal date had leaked. Everybody kind of knew it was coming, and then this teaser dropped that morning, which was exciting, but also like, okay, because I have to admit, when they first dropped their little teaser and it had the April 2nd date at the end, I think it's April 2nd. Let me make sure so I don't repeat this date. Let's see, Switch 2. Nintendo Direct. Let's see what it is. It is April 2nd. Okay, so I'm speaking correctly. or no, yeah, April 2nd. So I thought that was the release date of the console when they first put it at the end. I was like, wow, that's coming really soon. And then I immediately had my hopes and dreams crushed when I realized that's just the Nintendo Direct that gives a more in-depth look at it. But I guess that makes more sense. I think we're going to
does
see...
release 2025, apparently.
Yeah, I think it's a late summer, early fall release is what we're going to be seeing.
You gonna be a day one boy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think as long as it's not obscenely difficult to pre-order, or, that I have to wait in some crazy queue. Yes, I will pre-order it and be a day one boy.
Yeah, I'm almost never a day one person with consoles. I let them work out their bugs and let demand die off, so I don't have to do anything crazy to get one. But with the Switch 2, I would like it immediately, please. Thank you.
I have a 5-year-old now, which I can use that as leverage to justify my purchase to say we can play Mario Kart together.
Yeah, I mean, my baby, he'll be, what, like 7 months by then? That's old enough to play Mario Kart.
Yeah, you're getting some hand-eye coordination going.
Yeah.
Start working on those fine motor skills.
Nintendo Switch 2, it's for babies.
So, yeah, if this thing launches with Mario Kart and has some other cool launch titles, and what I think has been kind of the rumored thing is that it won't be a launch game, but a new 3D Mario will be in like a launch window game, potentially a holiday game, then I'm 100% in day one.
Hell yeah. Yeah, my big hopes, my big asks are always Zelda and Smash Bros. And Mario Kart, so I definitely have one of the three, so I'll be checking it out.
If there is a new Smash game, then like all doubts are for sure gone that I'm buying it day one. But I've seen that rumor. I don't think that's happening.
I don't think it's happening.
I really
either.
don't.
I don't think it's happening. Not anytime soon.
If we got a Mario Kart, a Super Smash, and a 3D Mario all in the first year of a new console, like, what do you even have to look forward to at that point?
It would. Well, that console would beat every single other gaming device for that season, like, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the Switch 2. Anything else with Switch 2?
Nah, we beat that one dead. I think it's all speculation and wishes and dreams. So we'll talk more about it when they actually give us something to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll be back here in April discussing it. So that's the Switch 2 reveal. The Oscar noms were announced a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, this is always a hot topic for me as I'm doing Drew's Oscar Corner here and there. And while I'm not going to go through the nominations and everything right now because it's kind of old news at this point, I will say it's been a really fun Oscar season, and a big curveball was thrown this past weekend because essentially the race has seemed to be between Emilia Perez and The Brutalist are kind of like the two big Best Picture frontrunners. And both of those films have had different little crises and some bad publicity happen in the past couple of weeks. For The Brutalist, it was for the use of AI in a few things, which if you want to know more about that, you can read on some articles. It's like one AI was used to help with Adrian Brody's accent in a voiceover or something like that. Like it was like in it, not like throughout the whole movie, but in a certain thing. I want to say it was like a Hungarian accent, which is extremely hard to replicate if you weren't born, if you weren't natively born.
Interesting.
And another AI was used for some sort of blueprints of buildings that were used in a slideshow at the end. So to me, it's like that type of stuff is gonna be normal in movies moving forward. But as this is a big Oscar campaign for this movie, it got a little bit of backlash for that. The Emilia Perez controversy that's happening is way more messy. I don't know if you're aware of all this stuff,
No,
Jahan, but
not at all.
Essentially the lead actress of the movie, Carla Sofia Garcon, I believe is how it's pronounced. She had a bunch of tweets that were dug up and a bunch of horribly
Oh
like
boy.
racist and bigoted things from time past in her tweets were dug up, and it's upsetting. And she was probably not going to win the Oscar anyway, but this has completely like basically eliminated her from contention at all, and it's harming the film overall as well. So that has happened, which has hurt those two films. The other thing that happened that's notable over the weekend that nobody saw coming was the Directors Guild Awards and the Producers Guild Awards happened on Saturday. And Honora, which is my favorite movie of 2024, ended up winning the overall award at the Directors Guild. Sean Baker, the director, won for that, and the Producers Guild. And I think there's some sort of stat. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but essentially in the last like 20 something plus years, there's only been 3 times that a movie that won both the Producers Guild and Directors Guild Award did not go on to win Best Picture at the Oscars. Like, it's very rare that that happens. So
Yeah.
Honora has now all of a sudden shot up to being the front runner to win Best Picture this year. And it makes sense because the way that they vote for the Oscars, it's like a ranking system. And a lot of people probably had The Brutalist number one, and a lot of people probably had Amelia Perez number one, and a lot of people probably had Amelia Perez at the bottom of their list, and it's possible for The Brutalist as well. But like Honora just seems to be kind of loved by everybody and is probably placing second to third on everybody's ballot list. So it makes sense that it would kind of make a surprise victory. But after the Directors Guild and Producers Guild Awards, Honora is now the absolute front runner to win Best Picture. So we'll see what happens.
Ranked choice voting. It could happen.
So, yep, that is the Oscar nominations. And then lastly, there was an Xbox Developer Direct a couple weeks ago, which dug into games that we already knew were coming, like Avowed and the next Doom game, Doom the Dark Ages, I think is what it's called. And
South of
I'm forgetting the name
Midnight.
of the awesome, South of Midnight, and that one RPG that looks amazing.
Expedition 33.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
And then the main reason I put this on the list at all to even discuss is because they did have the surprise announcement of Ninja Gaiden 4 and the drop of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which was a day one Game Pass release, the day of the announcement. And I was curious if you're a Ninja Gaiden fan and if this was something that excited you at all.
Ninja Gaiden's cool. I'm not really that big into it, but it's still a good get for Game Pass. Honestly, lately there's been a lot of really good drops on Game Pass, and some not so good, but a consistent amount of stuff. It feels like there's more to play on Game Pass lately, and I'm honestly like pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, the Game Pass drops have been weird lately. I don't know if you look at the Xbox Wire when they do their announcement of games that are upcoming. They've been doing this kind of annoying thing where they'll announce the new games that are coming, but they include games that were on Game Pass Ultimate that are now going to be available on Game Pass Core. Like let me actually pull it up and I can give you
Interesting.
an exact example.
I don't know which one I have.
If you are able to get Avowed day one, then you have Ultimate.
As far as I know, I can get it day one, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, let's see where it is. Coming soon to Game Pass. So like they have here, Avowed is coming to Ultimate and PC. Madden 25 is coming to Ultimate and PC. And what is this game that's coming to Ultimate and PC also? Kingdom Two Crowns is coming to Ultimate and Standard, but now Starfield is being released on Game Pass Standard. So, like, they include that in the announcement here. So it's not really something new for us. Another Crab's Treasure also going to Standard, and Ayuden Chronicle game is coming to Standard. So, like, those are games that have already been on Game Pass Ultimate, but are on Game Pass Standard. So, really, if you're an Ultimate subscriber, there's only 3 new games coming in the next few weeks. But one of which is Avowed, so that's a huge release. So it's I'm not complaining about it, but they've been doing that with their
Avowed looks so good. I'm excited.
yeah. We'll talk about that more in games because I'm kind of just I haven't really taken a dive into any new games in the past few days because I'm just kind of waiting for Avowed.
I played some new ones. There's a lot of big titles from a lot of my favorite franchises that have come out or are coming out soon. So I've been pretty like full. My gaming plate has been full lately. Before
Yeah.
we get to that though, I think we need to talk about fresh movies.
Wait, before we do that, I have a
Before we
little
do that,
surprise
you have a
here
surprise
you.
for me.
So I haven't pulled up this document in a long time, but I brought up our Fresh Out the Podcast fresh predictions because we have not made any 2025 predictions. We haven't,
No.
since we haven't done a show, and we haven't made any predictions in almost a year. So I want to go through some of our old ones to see if any of these have come true. The last predictions that were made were still when Gary was, regularly on the show. So there's some of them are his, but one of his was right, and that's why I wanted to pull it up. In
Ooh.
January of 2024, January 23rd, 2024, Gary said, Avowed will not come out this year. That's when we thought Avowed was supposed to come out in 2024, and it did not. It got pushed, and it's not coming out until February of 2025.
Nailed
So
it.
we will have to inform Gary that he did get that correct, and that Avowed did not come out in 2024. So that is another correct, fresh prediction for Gary.
He's pretty good at
We
this.
He is. Gary, another pretty insightful one because this has been a topic of conversation in the games industry. On December 4th, 2023, Gary thought that GTA 6 would launch at a higher price point than $69.99, which is the standard price for new release games. He says it will be $89.99. Now, the GTA 6 price point has been a conversation in recent weeks in the gaming industry. There have been analysts that think that Rockstar could market the game at higher than $70. We don't know what that would be if they'd put it out for $100, if it would be $80, $90. But basically, if any game could get away with it, it would be GTA 6. We don't know if they're going to do that for sure, but there have been discussions. So I thought that was, I'm going to keep that prediction on here because it still could potentially
It could
come
happen.
true, or at least half true. It's a one
Yeah.
thing if it launches at a higher price point, another thing if it's at the price point Gary predicted.
I think with that, I think it very well could happen that way. But Rockstar, I mean, it is one of the most sought after, like highest demand games. Period. Like everyone wants that game. I'm so excited to play GTA 6, but I feel like a lot of their success came from the fact that so many people got it, all this other stuff. They don't want to necessarily cut off their base, and they make a lot of money on like extras and like people buying digital cash and stuff. Like, so I feel like they wouldn't want to hamper their customer base to get a couple extra bucks out the gate. But I could be wrong. Greedy people are greedy, and they very well could charge $80 for this game. So we'll see.
Well, the other thing too is a lot of analysts, or basically a lot of video game publishers, talk about how expensive it is to make video games and how games should be priced higher than they currently are. And the fear would be that if GTA 6 did launch at a higher price point, it'd be opening the door for a lot of games that are really not worth the higher price to also launch at a higher price point and become the new standard. And that's a little bit scarier to think about, but we'll see. Another funny prediction on here, May 9th, 2023. This is a Gary and Jahan joint prediction. Fantastic Four will fail. They should skip it and go straight to the X-Men. This one's noteworthy because the Fantastic Four First Steps trailer just dropped like last week, I think.
Yeah,
Looks pretty good.
looks pretty good.
Do you still think it will fail?
I don't think it's going to add jack shit to the MCU, but it could be a good movie.
I can't remember when you made the prediction if your failure of it was from a box office standpoint or from a just a content standpoint. Like I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Probably box office, but I don't know. I'm more excited for it than I am for the Captain America movie, so we'll see.
What about Thunderbolts? Are you excited for it at all?
I am excited for Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts looks pretty cool.
I think it looks fun too.
Yeah.
It's been like my sleeper one. I feel like people are sleeping on it. I think it looks kind of fun, and I think it's going to be low-key kind of good.
I mean, like, one of the best parts of Captain America movies was Bucky Barnes. One of the best parts about the Black Widow movie was the Florence Pugh character. And I think that getting them together with a bunch of other people is going to be exciting and fun. And also, you know, David Harbour, loved him as Red Guardian. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I agree. Another fresh prediction that I was wrong about. This is a Drew prediction, and I was very wrong. On January 9th, 2024, I thought, and looking back, I don't feel like this was a bad prediction, but I was just off. With how fast they were moving with production on Mandalorian and Grogu and the filming and everything, I predicted that it would be out as soon as holiday 2025, and I was wrong. It's not coming out until, I just looked it up, May of 2026. So I was wrong. It is not coming out as soon as I thought. Yeah.
We could all be killed in the bloody conflict with Canada by then.
So. That's very true.
We gotta watch out.
The other ones are, I think there's a couple other ones here that are too early to tell. I had predicted in February 2024 that Nintendo Switch 2 would launch with Game Pass. Could still happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. But
I've seen it. Could happen. I've seen it still being talked about, and I'm kind of hopeful because that'd be really cool for me.
February 20th, 2024, I said that Starfield would come to PS5 at some time, and that's going to happen. But that prediction is not correct yet, but that will happen. Absolutely.
I don't doubt it, yeah. I'm also hearing that Avowed's going to be on PS5 like day one or something like that.
Everything's going to. We'll see Halo, the Master Chief Collection, come to PS5 sometime within the next year, I would bet. I would imagine we'll see Gears of War Ultimate Edition come to PS5 in the next year or so. Like, I think they're going to start bringing that stuff over. At least some of the older stuff. Like, that's why I think Master Chief Collection is a prime candidate to get released on PS5 and make some money.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. Make your money. You do you.
This one I can't remember. We did this before an Xbox showcase of some kind, and you predicted that there would at some point be a new hot Blizzard IP revival, and I don't think that has really happened yet, unless I'm missing something.
So they have recently talked about a bunch of new Blizzard games coming through, including a StarCraft-based shooter. So they are doing exactly what I wanted them to do. It hasn't come true yet, but they have shown that they are going to go ahead and try to do some of that stuff. So I was kind of right.
Okay, well, I'm just going to keep it unmarked then for now, because we really don't. That's a tough prediction because we basically could keep it unmarked for 10 years, and eventually something will get revived, and you'll be right. It's just a matter of if it happens immediately. You might have guessed that it was going to happen at a specific thing that was like a showcase,
you didn't write it down. Yeah,
but I didn't write it down, so I can't say.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say in the next year or two. In the next, I think this year they'll announce something for sure.
I will make a fresh prediction now just to add another one to it that Anora will win Best Picture at the Oscars this year. It's now that prediction is not that bold because of the precursors that it won, but it's just to add something new to the list. Do you have any fresh predictions for this year, for the coming months, that you think is something that could happen? Or I'm not trying to force anything out of you right now, but just while we're on the topic.
I predict. I don't have anything. You know what? I don't have jack shit, buddy.
That's fine.
Maybe I'll come up with something later, but yeah. It would just be wild, promptless speculation if I came up with anything, so I'm just
Fair enough. We can now officially move forward into fresh movies of the week. And I really did just try to include things from, within the past week or so. If I tried to put in every movie that I've watched since we went on hiatus, it would be a lot, and I'm not going to do that to all of you. But there have been a lot of movies that have come out in the past few months, and all the movies that came out during the holidays and so on. And, I got to see most of those, and it was an enjoyable time. But most recently, I did go and see Paddington in Peru, which comes out officially wide release this weekend. And it is the third installment in the Paddington series. Have you seen any of the Paddington movies, Jahan?
I hear good things, but no.
Yeah, they're kind of like beloved by the film community as like this kind of nice core, family friendly adventures that came out and just really warm your heart and you know, it's just you can't go wrong with the Paddington movie. And Paul King directed the first two and really brought a fun tone to those movies. And then he left the Paddington franchise and went off and did the Timothy Chalamet Wonka movie. If you think of the tone and how that Wonka movie felt, it's very much in line with the Paddington movies. So this is a different director. His name is Dougal Wilson. It's his first feature film, directorial debut. But I will say it fits in with the other Paddington movies. It's not the best of the franchise by any means, but it was an enjoyable time. He's got to go find his Aunt Lucy in the jungle, and he brings the Brown family along with him, and they get into some hijinks in the jungle, and I liked it. I was able to take my daughter. We had a good time.
I don't think there are bears in South America, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, there are in the Paddington universe. They're
Okay.
jungle bears, and they really like marmalade,
Okay. So there's a bunch of Winnie the Poohs down there.
more or less. Yeah, yeah. For the Peruvian bears. His Aunt Lucy lives in the home for retired bears that's in the middle of the jungle in Peru.
Yeah. I've never been, but my mom was born there. So
Has she been to the home for retired bears?
no, not that I know of.
That's a shame. Another movie that I watched was You Were Cordially Invited. This is a new movie on Prime Video. It stars Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon, and the premise of the movie is Will Ferrell is the father of a bride who's getting married, and Reese Witherspoon is the sister of a different bride who's getting married on the same weekend, and the venue accidentally double books the two weddings. So you have this father of the bride and Will Ferrell kind of going at it with the sister of the bride of the other party, and it's that typical kind of movie, like one upping each other, with some sort of prank or trying to sabotage the other wedding, things like that, but there were just enough things in this movie that made me laugh out loud to give it a positive recommendation.
Okay.
Like if you're looking for this kind of a comedy, I would recommend it. It's the same director who did, let's see, Neighbors and Neighbors 2, and did Bros a couple of years ago. So things like that. Get him to the Greek. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, same director who did Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So like that's kind of what you're looking at here. And I it's not amazing by any means, but there are some good Will Ferrell moments that made me laugh, and I recommend it.
Interesting. I'll check it out.
Another couple of movies. These next two were kind of a pair because I actually saw them back to back in the same day. I'll actually start with Presence. This is a Steven Soderbergh directed horror with an asterisk movie because there's not really that many jumps or it's not particularly scary, but it's a pretty cool movie. Have you heard of this movie, Jahan, Presence?
I don't think so.
It's been a pretty small release. It hasn't made that much money at the box office. So I'm sure this isn't on a lot of people's radars. But Steven Soderbergh in recent years, he directed like the modern Ocean's 11 movies, and he's done his big blockbusters. And these days, he just does a lot of like really unique kind of film experiences and cool, smaller movies that I tend to really enjoy. And this one is one of those. It's Presence. The whole movie is in a first-person perspective from a ghost or spirit of some kind that's essentially haunting this house. So the entire time you're seeing things from the view of this spirit with this family that moves into the house. The the mom of the family is played by Lucy Liu, and the dad is played by Chris Sullivan, who I think most people would probably know from the show This Is Us. He played, what's his character's name? I want to say his name was like Toby. Yeah, Toby, and This Is Us. Or the real ones know him as Taserface from
boy.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
That's such a good name, though.
Yeah, yeah. So it's Presence is a very slow burn kind of horror movie, but I just enjoyed Soderbergh doing something new and different and kind of going for it. And some of the performances of the kids in the movie are so, but I overall enjoyed my experience with Presence. In case you're able to catch that at some point. The other one that was getting a little bit more publicity, I'd say, is called Companion. This stars Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher. Sophie Thatcher, who's really been up and coming and somebody who I've been following ever since first seeing her in the TV show Yellow Jackets. She most recently was one of the two female leads in Heretic, the Hugh Grant horror movie from A24 that came out in the fall or early winter. And the thing with Companion, this is one of those movies that I really didn't know much going into it, and my experience was elevated because of that. Apparently, they've released some newer trailers for this movie that spoil one of the twists that I did not know was in this movie. So I think my experience was better for not knowing.
Gotcha.
That being said, it's about Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid are a couple, and they go to this like an isolated lake house for a weekend with friends. And Sophie Thatcher's character essentially kills someone in self-defense, and then things kind of go crazy from there. Okay. And I don't want to say much. I've probably already said too much. But that's all I'll say about it. This is one I'd say, like, don't watch the trailers. Don't, if you can go into it with as little information as possible, because there were some twists here that surprised me, that made this a pretty fun watch. So it's called Companion. It's worth noting it's produced by Zach Kreger, who is the guy who directed Barbarian in recent years. Mm-hmm. He's from, what's that? The Whitest Kids You Know. Sketch comedy group. Jeez. And so he's a producer on this movie, and I enjoyed it. So that's Companion. I think it's still showing in theaters, and I'd say go check it out.
I actually had seen stuff about this one, and it does look pretty good. So,
do you know the twist that happens in the movie by any chance?
I do not.
Good. Okay.
But I also watched a movie recently. In the past couple of weeks, I sat down and watched Blink twice with Channing Tatum. This is kind of it's about a billionaire that takes people to an island and things happen. So I don't want to break the twists either for you guys. But honestly, this movie was fantastic. The performances were there were some creepy, like, chilling performances. There was some, like, truly... Trigger warning for this movie. It is fucked up. But it's a good movie. So, like, check it out. I think that my time was well spent here. Have you seen this movie?
I haven't. I actually bought this movie on iTunes and then have not watched it yet. And then it came out on Prime Video to stream for free after I'd already bought it. So that was unfortunate. But no, I haven't watched it yet. It's directed by Zoe Kravitz, which I think is interesting. And do you know what the working title of this movie was before they started calling it Blink twice?
Epstein Island?
Pussy Island.
Pussy Island. Okay, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, no, I haven't seen it. I want to. I've heard good things about it.
I think you'll like it. It's a solid flick, man. It is. The acting's fantastic. Like, honestly, I can't state that enough. The performances in this movie are amazing. So, like, it's absolutely worth a watch to anyone, as long as you can stomach what's happening. It's not the whole movie. It's not all the time. It's not a constant thing in your face. It's just there are parts of it that are very, like, maybe go outside or something. But, yeah. That's it for fresh movies of the week.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Let's check out fresh TV. You watch anything good?
I have been watching The Traitors. There's a new season of The Traitors, which is the reality show on Peacock that Gary and I really hyped up back when season 2 premiered at the beginning of 2024. This is the third season of The Traitors, where a bunch of reality TV stars are living in a big old castle in Scotland together. And three of them are secretly traitors trying to murder the unsuspecting house guests one by one. And after somebody is murdered, you know, in quotes, murdered, because obviously they're not actually murdering people. If a faithful gets murdered, they're then out of the game. And then the faithful who are remaining go to a big round table and try to have a discussion and try to banish someone that they think is a traitor. And
So
they
it's
maybe
Among
get
Us.
lucky. Yeah, exactly. So they might banish a traitor correctly, or they might banish a faithful, and then they learn from their mistakes and go on from there. So this has been a great season so far. Boston Rob Mariano from Survivor fame. If you know of Survivor, if you know of a lot of reality TV, Boston Rob is kind of a reality TV staple. He's been on this season. Wes Bergman from The Challenge, who I find to be very entertaining. And there's a bunch of, Real Housewives and Big Brother, Survivor, all these kinds of reality shows are represented here. And it's a joy to watch. I love this show. Alan Cummings, the host, he's chewing it up. He's in character the full time once again. And I thought season 2 was great. And season 3, I think, is even upping the stakes even more. It's been really enjoyable. So that's The Traitors. It is we're I think 7 episodes in now, so it's still coming out, and it is on Peacock.
Real life Among Us for adults. You got me, man. You got me. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, with reality TV stars or professional athletes or whatever, like Nikki Bella from WWE was on this season.
Nice.
And stuff like that. So yeah. Jahan, have you checked out Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man animated series that's on Disney Plus?
I have not.
I'm surprised you haven't checked this one out yet, honestly. I mean, I know you have other things going on, but it just seems like it'd be up your alley, like a new Spider-Man
It's not a kid's
animated show on Disney Plus, so on and so forth. No,
It's not
not your thing?
It's not like a young children's show?
No.
Oh, okay.
I would not consider it so.
Huh. I did not know.
It's not like adult. It's not like Creature Commandos, which we'll
No.
talk about soon, which is a truly adult animated show. But it's good. It's Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It's got this kind of, it takes from the '60s comics aesthetic and in the character designs, but it is a modern story, and it's an alternate universe version of Spider-Man where things are just a little bit different. In this version of the series, Peter Parker, or I should say Spider-Man, essentially befriends Norman Osborn. And Norman Osborn is kind of like the mentor to Spider-Man in this series. And Norman is voiced by Coleman Domingo, who I really like in this series. And they've changed just enough and do a lot of cool little twists that I find this show fun to watch. And there's only 5 episodes out now. I'm not sure how many total are in the season, probably like 8 or something. They dropped 2 episodes last week. Two episodes 2 weeks ago. Last week they dropped 3 more episodes, and I think there's a new batch of episodes that come out tomorrow. So I really like it. It's a new suit. It's new, just different character designs. There's a lot of characters from Marvel lore that are here kind of in different roles and such, or they've, done some typical what you see now when they're doing these new tellings, because you can kind of do whatever you want. There's like gender swapped characters and things like that, which I've actually found to be like pretty fun in this show.
Yeah, I like that kind of thing where they shake up the norm and change the established stories and stuff. That's pretty cool. I enjoy that stuff.
Yeah, and like in this, when Peter, like, I don't want to spoil too much from it, but like in the first episode, this is a slight spoiler for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Instead of getting bit by a radioactive spider produced in a lab like on Earth where he's at, he's about to go to school, and a portal opens up, and Doctor Strange is fighting this like venom creature from another dimension. and they have this big fight in the middle of the city, and then Doctor Strange wins and goes back, but the spider comes from an from that dimension. So like it is truly a spider from another dimension that bites Peter Parker in this world and gives him powers. And then his initial suit, he's literally got like essentially a CO2 tank or something on his back that he uses to like the compressed air to shoot his webs and such. Like he's got like cool hoses connected to his wrists.
That's kind of cool.
It looks way more makeshift, and I enjoyed what they were doing there. And I think it's worth watching, John. I think you should really check it out. I'd like to discuss it with you in the future.
Yeah, I'll check it out. It sounds cool. I do love Spider-Man.
Yeah, so that's that. And then the other thing I've been watching mostly at night before bed, as I'm going to fall asleep, but they've been dropping new episodes of Pop Culture Jeopardy every week on Prime Video, and I've watched like all 30 episodes that they've put out so
I've watched
far.
a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's surprisingly difficult. Like considering it's Pop Culture Jeopardy, I feel like I'm pretty in tune with pop culture, but it's pretty hard.
Yeah, Jen actually wanted me, you, and Gary to try out for this back when they were taking auditions, and we just didn't get around to it. But
we should have.
I
think that we would do pretty well in some of these topics.
Me too.
I really struggle. The stuff that I struggle with are like the YouTubers and the TikTokers, and like they get into a lot of that stuff that I'm like, I
know a lot of that.
A lot of stuff in music too, but like anything, movies, TV, all that kind of stuff I've got. So I think we could do pretty well. We'll have to do the fresh out the box crew, audition for a future season.
That'd be good. Yeah, and with Gary, I mean, he knows like everything about music, so like he would fill that weak spot for us pretty well.
That's true.
Speaking of game shows, I didn't put on the list, but I would like people to know season 3 of The Floor is featuring my older brother, 2-time Jeopardy champion Alex. He is on the floor with Rob Lowe, and I don't know how he did. He couldn't tell us like how well he did or anything like that, but we are allowed to say he's on it. I saw him in the first episode a little bit.
I did too. It premiered after the Super Bowl, and I did watch a bit of it, and I saw him, and my wife and I were watching it, and I pointed him out and everything. As soon as she saw him, she was like, "Oh yeah, he looks like Jahan." Like it was fun because she didn't know what he looked like.
Yeah, we look a lot alike, and I never really noticed our voices sound so similar, but like listening to recordings specifically, I'm like, oh man, we do sound alike. And so yeah, my brother's on there. Check it out. If you are interested in game shows, my brother's on one. So that's pretty cool. To carry on the conversation about superheroes that we're diving into, some pretty big stuff's happening in animated superhero shows. Invincible Season 3 just dropped. The first 3 episodes, I think they're doing a weekly release after that. I'm not sure how deep into Invincible you've gotten, Drew, but this is... I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is one of the best pieces of superhero media out there. Season 3, they're really going for it. One of the things I really like about Invincible is that they're going somewhere. You know what I mean? They're not padding episodes. They're not trying to like get longevity out of this. They are going to a point. They have a story and they're telling it. And it's just the beats are constant. The beats are happening. It's all working together. And it's just it's a fantastic show. It's getting darker and darker. I really enjoy Invincible a lot. So if you haven't watched it, it's on Amazon. It is fantastic. It is not for kids at all. It is an adult animation. So check it out. Invincible. Speaking of adult,
I've watched the first 2 seasons. I'm caught up on those. I just haven't watched the new season yet.
There's only 3 episodes out, and they start off hardcore awesome, and they do not stop. And so absolutely can't wait to hear what you think about the new season of Invincible. But I do see you also watch Creature Commandos, the new animated show from James Gunn on HBO Max. If you don't know, it's pretty much Suicide Squad, except the Suicide Squad kind of stuff got outlawed because you can't do that to humans. So these are things that are legally not considered humans. So it's like a loophole, and it's kind of fucked up. but I could totally see our government doing something like this. So it's cool. It has creatures like the Bride of Frankenstein and the creature from the Black Lagoon lady and stuff like that. You see who else is in there? There's
the Weasel, Dr. Phosphorus.
I love Dr. Phosphorus. Dr. Phosphorus is awesome. Yeah, the Bride.
Eric Frankenstein, Rick Flag Sr. Yeah, I think that's everybody, right?
It's most of them.
G.I. Robot.
G.I. Robot. How could we forget G.I. Robot? He's so relevant these days. But, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Boy, is he.
Oh, man, he's my hero. He takes out the Nazis. Yeah, Creature Commandos. I'm interested to hear what you think. I think it's absolutely great, and it certainly gives me confidence in James Gunn's coming Gunverse for DC. This is a good first step. This is a good... I'm very excited to see more of the show. I hope that we get to see some of these characters in real life, because they've already stated that if you're voicing a character in one of these animated shows, you will play the live action. So the people playing these will look great as these characters. And yeah, it's raunchy, it's dirty, it's brutal, it's bloody, it's everything you want from a cartoon.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't initially put this on the list because I watched it like when it was coming out. So I'm a little bit removed from it, but I went into it with like zero expectations and really enjoyed it. So it's just great. It's 7 episodes. They're like 20 minutes each. It's super digestible and easy to get through, although it can be pretty violent at times. But to your point, talking about the cast, it's like, they did a really great job of casting known actors that are like really great character actors, but also can do great voice work, because there's a big difference between actors and voice actors, and some can cross over and some can't. And I feel like they did a good job of, like, Alan Tudyk, who's one of the greater voice actors out there. He's just all over the place. Voices Dr. Phosphorus in this, which is perfect because that's a character that even in live action would likely be completely CG. And there's some things like that. David Harbour as Eric Frankenstein is a fun addition, and I'd love to see that character in live action and see how they would do it. And also, I feel like the character designs are flexible enough that, like, you could either have these people be in makeup and do it that way, or be CG, or I don't know. You could do it a lot of different ways.
Yeah, him as Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster is upsetting. His character is upsetting. He's a disturbed person, and it's hard to watch sometimes. But yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, somebody who's disturbed but feels so justified in what they're doing. It's horrifying.
It's pretty horrifying. Speaking of people that feel justified in what they're doing, so I was on paternity leave for a while. I've been, having late night television shows. I know we talked about, what am I going to watch during all this stuff? I did lean on some, shows that I already had seen, so I didn't have to pay too much attention. And those shows include Breaking Bad, Rick and Morty, and Stranger Things. I made it all the way through all the Rick and Mortys already. Almost done with Breaking Bad. Stranger Things, I think we're halfway through season 3. So, made a big dent in all of these while I was home with the baby. But yeah, that was kind of my dad watch, my dad vigil.
Yeah, my version of Rick and Morty when I was on paternity leave last was South Park. I don't know why I just watched so many episodes of South Park.
It's just, I don't know, it's nice to have something that's funny and simple, and you don't need to pay too close of attention to what's going on.
And short too.
Yeah. Something you can turn off and not feel like, I didn't see what's going to happen,
Yeah, I feel like everybody finds comfort food watches when you're on parental leave, whatever that means for you.
Absolutely. But yeah, I just wanted to pop that little nugget in there for people that were curious about what I got into while I was on leave. And that's it for Fresh TV of the Week. We could dive into Fresh Games. We have quite a few here to talk about, so...
Yeah, and some of mine are kind of fast because I just listed some that I beat here. You know, when we last recorded in November, I was playing Dragon Age: The Veilguard, and I ended up platinuming that game on the PS5. And then I jumped into Metaphor ReFantazio, which is IGN actually gave it their Game of the Year for 2024, and I love the Persona games, and it's from the same developer, so I was interested to check it out. And I did end up beating the game and had a really good experience with it. It's very long, so by the end of it, I was ready for it to be over. But that's a great like in-depth RPG with the mechanic of like choosing what you want to do from day to day and kind of choosing how you go about the game in that way and raising your stats and so on. I just really loved that metagame within it in the Persona series, and I liked it in Metaphor. And then I also played Stellar Blade, which is like a third-person action game. You're on like a kind of apocalyptic Earth-ish that's been taken over by these monsters, and the human race has abandoned the planet, and they send these um, like these airborne units of like female warriors go down to the planet to try to fight these monsters to take back Earth. It's kind of the general premise of the game, but it's this really cool like techno futuristic aesthetic, and the action gameplay is pretty fun. I really enjoyed it. Both of these games, though, have done something that really annoy me as a completionist, which is I have gotten every trophy in these games. I've been playing both of them on PS5. Stellar Blade's a PS5 exclusive. Metaphor's multi-console. I played these games. I did everything possible in my playthrough and got every trophy possible. But I could not platinum either of these games because both of them require a second playthrough in order to platinum them. And they're both like pretty long games. Now, granted, you don't have to do everything on the New Game Plus playthrough. Like you can just kind of go through it and avoid a lot of the story stuff and skip cutscenes, which literally can cut out hours from these games. But like I just after spending 70 hours with a game like I did with Metaphor, I did not want to just dive back in and go through it again. But I really want the platinum, and I have to beat a secret boss that you can only play on New Game Plus. But you start back at level 1 when you restart the game.
Oh boy.
You get like all your other stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff that helps you, but like you're at level 1, so you have to level up because it's a level 99 boss. So like that's just really frustrating for me as somebody that wants to platinum the game. Stellar Blade, you have to get a different ending of the game,
Yeah.
which you cannot do multiple endings on the same playthrough. You have to play through it again. So again, I'm like fully leveled up and can just race through the game, but I'm like, I have other things I want to do, but I'd really like that little shiny picture of a trophy next to the game on my trophy list just so that I can feel good about myself.
Yeah, I understand that because like I had a similar thing with Alan Wake 2. There's multiple endings, and I wanted to get the good ending really bad, but I just can't play through the whole game again right now. You know, I got lots of stuff to play, so
Yep. So, but both of those games, really, really great games on their own. Highly recommend. But I beat those in the last few weeks. And so for now, just to have something to dabble in before Avowed comes out, I picked up the Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver remaster. I never played these original games on the PS2, Soul Reaver 1 and 2. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of dive into them here. But they are just straight up remasters of the PS2 games, like basically just given a new coat of paint that still controls and plays like a PS2 game. So like it can be kind of frustrating, especially coming from Metaphor and Stellar Blade, which control really, really well. And they just have a lot of great accessibility settings and quality of life things. So when you go to a game like Soul Reaver Remastered, you're like, this feels ancient by comparison. That being said, it feels like a game that had I played it when it came out, I would have loved it. I just never played it then. So that being said, like you can grab this for $20. It's not like I spent $70 on a new game. Like it's pretty cheap, and it comes with 2 games that I'm able to casually play while I wait for Avowed. So that's kind of what I've been doing right now.
yeah, Soul Reaver and Legacy Kain are two are franchises that I was always interested in, never got around to.
Yeah, it's like, and it's cool, like kind of gothic character designs and vampires and stuff like that. You know, it's all like,
Yeah.
it's kind of stuff we
Oh
like.
yeah, I was an edge lord when I was a kid, man. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. One thing of note, because obviously we haven't played Avowed yet, and we'll be talking about it soon. It comes out a week from today, I think,
Ooh.
on the 18th. But it is a game that if you buy the ultimate edition of the game or whatever, you get 5-day early access, so you could play it as soon as this Thursday. Or if you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, as we are, I think you can pay the upcharge of like whatever it is, 20 or $30 to play it early. Is that something that you would do for Avowed, Jahan, or are you just going to wait and play it when it comes out?
I would consider it, but I mean, this weekend is Valentine's Day, so and we have wives.
That's kind of where I'm at too. I'm like, I don't think I'd be able to play it enough between Thursday and Tuesday to justify the price. I think I can just wait till it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to and like get to talk about it early and all that stuff, but we might just have to talk about it the following podcast because having a baby takes up all your time.
Does it?
Yeah, right. You only have two, so Speaking of Game Pass, the game I played recently is a day one release on Xbox Game Pass. Orcs Must Die 4. I don't think that's actually what it's called, but it's the new Orcs Must Die. Death Trap is what it's called. I'm a big fan of this franchise. Saying that, I will have to say this is probably the worst edition of the franchise. Not to say it's terrible or unplayable or anything. It's just they tried to do a lot of new things with it, and I feel like it kind of took away from a lot of the old gameplay that we enjoyed. They gave it like this roguelike mechanic where you like have to do a run where you're gonna do several levels in a row, and they build on each other, that kind of thing. And it just doesn't work out all that well. They added some talent tree stuff, which is cool. They added a bunch of new, like you can upgrade your traps a lot. But the things that they didn't give me enough of are levels and traps. And I need more levels and traps for me to really enjoy the game. It didn't happen this time. Some of the traps that they did add are very cool. It is totally it's totally playable. It's totally fun to play with a friend, especially. But if you are playing solo or you have to pay for this game, I wouldn't necessarily suggest it. It's not a full price game. It's like $40, but it is free on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass and friends, absolutely try it out. Give it a taste. It'll definitely give you a feel for what this franchise is like. But Orcs Must Die 2 and 3 are better installments for sure, and they're both also multiplayer, so there's that. A little disappointing, but not a terrible game, so I'm still going to keep playing it. I'm still enjoying it, but I want to give my honest opinion, and it's fine. I put Slay the Spire on here, because I've been getting back into that with the Slay the Spire 2 coming out soon, to early access at least. I put this on here because, as I've said, I have a newborn. You can play this game one-handed while you hold a baby very easily. And I felt like I wanted to let people know that. Like the late night feedings when he like just would not go to sleep after I fed him, I would just hold him and play Slay the Spire for a few hours until he passed out. So I wanted to give Slay the Spire a shout out for that functionality. Great for babies. This next game, me and you both played. I believe this is a free-to-play game. Marvel Rivals made a pretty big splash in the squad shooter genre. Kind of completely obliterated Overwatch 2's player base because Marvel Rivals is Overwatch 2, but better. It's got more everything. It's got better levels. It's got better characters, more recognizable characters. The gameplay is more fun. It feels more competitive, even though some of the characters are probably less balanced somehow than in Overwatch. It still doesn't feel like an unbalanced game. You can pretty much win or lose any game. It's pretty fair, and I enjoyed playing the multiplayer on this a lot. So, how about you, Drew? How did you enjoy it?
played this very casually, but I have some friends that play on PS5 that I'll occasionally party up with. And I'm not an Overwatch guy. I typically don't play these kinds of like hero squad shooters as much as like you or Gary or some of our friends. So I'm not as well tuned into these things. That being said, I really enjoy it. I like how many characters they are.
So
I
many.
like that you might play around on a certain map and really excel with a certain character, and then you get into your next game and you're on a different map against different people, and you just get dominated as that character. Like you cannot do anything. And so you can switch, and there's a lot to switch between, and you can play, a tank, or you can play somebody who deals more damage, or be a little bit more like a technical support character, and I like all that. Do you have a main that you've really started feeling comfortable with, Jahan?
I slapped pretty hard with Venom. I was a pretty good Moon Knight, and I like Cloak and Dagger a lot.
Yeah, I have some friends that like Cloak and Dagger too. The first character that I found that I could really play well was Squirrel Girl, which makes sense. She's one of like the more basic characters. I think just like a little bit more introductory. I've done a little bit of Rocket here and there as well if I'm wanting to play more support. A lot of people have played with really enjoyed Jeff the Shark. I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do Jeff the Shark. I did not do well.
I'm a pretty good Jeff the Shark. He's pretty solid character. I like spitting everybody over the side of the map. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, I just like that what works one round might not work the next, but there's a lot to switch between. And sometimes you'll like, I'm just going to try a new character on the fly, and you might do really well or might not. But I think it's a pretty fun, diverse game just because of how many different characters you can play and different approaches you can take to it.
Yeah, it's really they do the genre justice for sure. It has a lot of good, solid, varied gameplay. So absolutely, Marvel Rivals free to play. Check it out if you haven't. If you're living under a rock or something. But speaking of games that are not free to play, Civ 7 just came out. One of my favorite franchises of all time. Civ 6 ate a lot of hours of my life away. I'll never get them back, but I'm going to offer more to Civ 7 from Firaxis. This game... So I went all out and bought like the expensive version of this game, which was more than $100. But I'm a big fan. I get all the DLC and stuff. The changes they have made to this game have completely changed the gameplay. Completely. While retaining some familiarity. So it's not a completely brand new game, but it is definitely not Civ 6 at all. They added a lot of the components from Civ 6's DLCs, and they put it into the core game in a more focused and built-in manner that feels more coherent. I like what they did with city-states. City-states are start off as like small tribe villages, and you can either go to war with them, or you can turn them into city-states, become the suzerain of them. They have navigatable rivers. There are now diplomatic points that you could use to do endeavors with other people. It is not as easy as it used to be to like denounce another player. They can counter it with diplomacy points. So like it makes it harder for you to go to war with people if they're playing diplomatically, which makes sense. And so the gameplay, it makes logical sense in a lot of these ways. I love how the ages have changed. Now, instead of playing one civilization from start to finish, you pick a leader, right? So I play in my first playthrough, I'm playing Xerxes, the king of Persia. And I chose for my civilization that he leads Persia. But I did not have to. I could have picked a lot of other places. I could have, started off in China or something. So you get to pick your leader, and you pick your civ. And then every age, your civ evolves into a more modern civilization. And so you get to pick a new civilization on top of that one. And so the whole time you're leveling up, you're changing, and it's a new game mechanic in this that makes the game very fresh. I like it a lot so far. I can give more complete notes if this is an absolute grand slam after I've actually had time to devote to this. But it just came out like last week, so I've only gotten to play a few hours. As it stands now, absolutely love it. If you're a fan of Civ 6, you will enjoy Civ 7. But if you're not, I don't know what to tell you. It's definitely an acquired taste. The absolutely, yeah, the absolutely last things I want to talk about. I've been I don't know why I did it backwards, but I've been playing the entire Alan Wake franchise of games. I started with Alan Wake 2, and it was one of the greatest gaming experiences I've ever had in my life. I love that game.
I love that.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's such a good game. It is such a good game. And then I went back and, and I played Control. And that game blew my mind. That game's so good. The gameplay in that is fantastic. Like, I wasn't expecting the action-y, like, I don't know, man. That game is hardcore awesome. Control is fantastic. Most of these games are on Game Pass too, by the way, so you can do this too. Then I am currently playing Quantum Break, so I'm going back.
Did you never play Quantum Break?
I never played Quantum Break either.
Oh yeah, I played that when it came out. I liked it a lot.
It's very good.
It had the TV show episodes in between acts of the game.
Yeah, I downloaded the TV episodes so I can watch them.
They're not very good, if I remember correctly.
I'm sure they're not, but it's kind of a cool. I've always enjoyed when they've tried to mesh TV and games, like they did it with Defiance, the sci-fi show, and that didn't go so well. Even though I liked the game. And I like the show a lot. I wish it had been more popular, but
you can see, like, the funny thing about playing these Remedy games and what they're doing here is you can see the evolution of it, right? Like, they kind of tried to do this TV show integrated into the game in Quantum Break, where, like, you'd play an act and then there'd be a 20-minute episode of the show, then play the next act and then 20-minute episode, and you play, like, some of the actors that were in the show, like, appeared in the game and so on and so forth. But then the way that they really did that in Alan Wake 2, where, like, there are real life, or, like, there's actual... The game actors do appear in live action segments, but it's way more integrated into the game rather than, like, here's an episode of a TV show.
Yeah, they're just live action cutscenes. I think that
they were really onto something.
The way they did in Alan Wake 2 is fantastic. Like, those cutscenes are amazing. When it comes to Alan Wake 2, no notes. Zero. Yeah. That game is a 10 out of 10 for me. Perfect game. But yeah, Quantum Break started it all for that kind of thing with this series. And I'm enjoying it so far. I haven't beaten it yet. I am enjoying it. It's very cool. The story's awesome and unexpected. And then also, the original Alan Wake remaster was on sale, so I bought that too, and I'm going to play it. So I played this entire series ass backwards.
That's funny. I think Alan Wake, the original Alan Wake, is going to be a little bit tougher after having played Alan Wake 2 first.
Yeah. Oh, man. Alan Wake 2. Yeah. So if you haven't played Alan Wake 2, anyone listening, it doesn't matter if you played any of the other games. It is phenomenal, and I recommend it. But yeah, so that was my ass backwards Alan Wake playthrough, and I just wanted to let everyone know that was happening in my life. And that ends Fresh Games. That ends our first return episode, which I just realized I named this episode The Return, which is one of Alan Wake's books, which is kind of funny. But anyways,
hey, how about that? Wow.
I did an Easter egg on accident.
There's about to be some spooky stuff happening in real life.
I hope not. My first pick of the week, I'm going to go ahead and go with Invincible. Season 3 is fantastic. If you're not watching it, you should.
And my fresh pick is actually going to be The Traitors, Season 3. I just absolutely love that show. I get so hyped for every new episode. And as far as reality TV show competitions go, I think this is among the best of the best.
It's Among Us.
It is among us, the best of the best.
Hey, thanks for listening to Fresh Out the Podcast, everybody. We are back. We're going to try and be getting back to this weekly again and give you all that good, fresh news. Thank you for everyone that was demanding us to get back to work on this. We appreciate
get out of my
it.
DMs. Like, quit asking, finally.
Yeah, everyone's asking. Like, I was surprised by how many people were like, hey, when you guys getting back to this? It made me happy. So thank you for all the support. We appreciate you guys. I have been the board game guru, game master extraordinaire, Jahan.
And I am the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen. Catch me on Twitter and Letterboxd at Drew Munhausen. Jahan, did you say where people can find you at Rock Fact?
You can't really find me at Rock Fact anymore on Twitter.
Oh, that's right.
I'm mostly over on Blue Sky these days. If you want to come find me there, I believe I'm Jahan Navisi. Oh, no, I'm Jahananon. Jahananon at bluesky.social. So you can come find me there. I'm accruing a small following there. And you can also see me at twitch.tv/Jahananon. We're going to be streaming The Expanse TTRPG this Thursday. If you want to come see your boy Gary back in action again. And yeah, I look forward to all that. So, hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay fresh.